Okay, so your eyes are not deceiving you. The meat doesn't shrink in the fridge. That only happens in the oven. This is another cut that I have prepared so you can actually see what happens after 24 hours. The meat actually changes color. You cannot underestimate the amount of tenderizing that has gone on in your refrigerator for 24 to 36 hours. The result in the finished product, that's how you get that melt in your mouth, succulent, like butter meat, okay? So I just want you to take a look and see this was in the fridge 24 to 36 hours, and of course we're letting it come to room temperature for an hour before we cook it. So the next step for this recipe is the Dutch oven and the onions. And again, you can use a baking dish if you'd like, a nice high-sided baking dish, something that will fit your brisket, and just a really nice heavy tinfoil tight lid when it comes time to use the lid. I, of course, prefer the Dutch oven. So, surprise, surprise, we are not adding any liquid to this dish. The secret here is the amount of onions. You want 8 medium onions. Okay, we're gonna just put a little bit of olive oil at the bottom of our Dutch oven. And if your onions are not medium, let's say they're a little small, then put in 10. You can't put in too many onions, you can't put in too little onions. You wanna coat the bottom of your Dutch oven with a little bit of olive oil, and then you just wanna pour in thickly sliced, because you don't want them to disintegrate while cooking, and just 8 to 10, make sure they're medium, on the bottom of the pan. The onions are going to produce the liquid needed for a braise. Remember, we spoke about braising purists, talk about the amount of liquid needed from 1/3 to 2/3, and even some people cover the entire brisket or meat with liquid and call that braising. I'm gonna show you can actually braise just with onions, no liquid needed. They'll emit enough flavor, and don't be scared. This is gonna be an extremely tender final result. But of course, you know, season, right? Layers of flavor. Salt and pepper, the two most important pieces of equipment or ingredients in a cook's kitchen. I couldn't live without salt, pepper, after that olive oil, and then after that probably onions. And then after that probably garlic. My family's from Transylvania, so I just can't help myself. Okay, let's give it a little mix here, a little bit of pepper, and we are good to go. The meat goes right on top, and you're probably now ready to scream at me. Jamie, what about the golden rule of browning before you braise? We are gonna do that, but we're gonna do it in the oven. The great part about browning in the oven is it skips that tedious step of stovetop browning, and that gets a little bit messy, and it could splatter everywhere. And so you saw, even in the slow cooker brisket in lesson 3, we did that on the stovetop. This is gonna be a cinch and a breeze. 350, 30 minutes uncovered. Look at this. We just browned before we braised in the oven without the sort of tedious extra step of doing it on the stovetop. We developed a beautiful crust. It's starting to caramelize exactly what we want. This is beautiful. We're gonna flip it and put it back in for another 30 minutes at 350. But just a quick note, you see that I'm using kitchen mitts. I do this always because of a great friend, Kobe, who used to watch the show all the time. And years ago, he saw me always using kitchen towels. And so he sent me a beautiful pair of oven mitts. He said, I realized you don't have them. He was 10 years old at the time. We've stayed in touch. I think now he's already going into high school. I used his oven mitts. I bought my own oven mitts after that. Everything because of him. Be really careful. It's really hot. And again, a kitchen towel is risky. It can slip. Sometimes if you have a large oval shape, it doesn't stretch and you can't get the full grip that you need. This is heavy. You want to have a tight grip. Use oven mitts and be very careful. Now we're going to flip. So you see, again, I'm using a spatula and the tongs to make sure I have a nice, easily turn this brisket. And you see the difference between the two sides, right? So this is a crucial step. We want to develop that same kind of crust and caramelization on this side, back in the oven. 350, 30 minutes. Then we'll cover it and lower it to 300.